Hey yo, what is going on guys? Cash and Clean here, and for today's video I wanted to talk about Crystal 4 gear because I feel like I haven't really talked about it much. I mentioned a video about it a really long time ago about how to get a guaranteed one, and I still stand by that video. Even though the amount of people that disagree with it, I still stand by it. I can go into greater detail about all of that. I really want to also prove that fact and actually just test that theory for myself, just so you guys have the proof right there. But it's going to take a lot of time because going through 51 vaults is going to take a lot of time, especially doing it multiple times. I still haven't figured out how to exactly construct that video because the video is going to be super long, and if I cut up all the videos, then it's not really going to be much of a proof. So it's just going to be like a, I don't know, 4-hour long video or however long it takes me to do all those delves. So either way, let's get all of that out of the way. Let's talk about Crystal 4. So for Crystal 4, you can get this as a endgame player or a brand new player. But if you're a brand new player, just keep in mind the amount of resources it's going to take to actually forge all of your equipment. So as you can see, the stars on this side over here, if I hover over it, you can see mine's completely maxed out and it's completely pearled. It's going to take up a lot of resources, and I can actually link you guys a spreadsheet to calculate how much it's going to take to fully upgrade a piece and all 3 of your pieces. And then you can multiply that for all of your classes. So with that being said, I would say if you're brand new to the game, you can get your Crystal 1 gear, you can get your Crystal 2 gear, and if you want to, you can upgrade your Crystal 2 gear, and you can get some power rank that way. If you do get Crystal 3, you can use it. It will get you more power rank, but do not upgrade it, because that's just going to waste your resources. You want to save as much as you can for your Crystal 4 gear. So once you are an endgame player, or once you think you're efficient at farming, you can farm yourself Crystal 4 gear for a class. Just make sure it's for a farming character, and then that farming character can give you Crystal 4 gear, gems, whatever you need for your other classes. And you can begin the leveling up process for that. If you end up leveling up your Crystal 3 gear, then you're just going to waste resources, because sure, you'll get a little bit of power rank, but then you're going to end up needing to get Crystal 4 at some point if you want to get more power rank and do more damage. So there's that for you. Now let's talk about a few places here. I did mention delves in the beginning of the video. If you go to depth 115 and go above that, you will find U10 depths, and every 3rd floor you complete, there's going to be a shadowy vault. You have to use your delve shadow key on those. It's not too terrible to craft. If you're brand new to the game, you can probably get a few of these keys, actually a decent amount of them. And if you're just farming, you can get a bunch of fragments, and then you'll have enough keys. You should be fine with that. And especially if you're new to the game, I would highly recommend this, because you can get into 115 delves pretty easily. You can actually just join the delve chat. I don't know if the chats are completely fixed, so if you do go into /join delve, just be very careful, because before there were spam botters in there, and they crashed your game. It was kind of a big issue. I don't know if that still exists. I don't know if that got fixed, but there's that. If you're in any clubs, if they're advertising, you can do that as well. Or you can try to host one yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. And if you're trying to farm Crystal 4 gear, you can kind of mix it in with other things. I'm sure a lot of you guys might need permatorches. So you can try to get a Leviathan Death Stepper. Specifically one for the U10. I don't think I have one anymore. Doesn't look like it. Maybe I do. I'm just missing it. Oh, right here. So I have Ifera Depth Steppers. You can buy this from the marketplace if you have the Flux, or you can craft it in here, but it's kind of expensive. So I think you can just get it from here actually with credits, but you probably don't want to waste credits. But they're also in here under Depth Stepper, this bench over here. If you have the resources, you can craft it. But the main idea is if you want to farm Crystal 4, you can try to see if there's other things that other people might need in that delve. So obviously permatorches. So you can say permatorch and C4 run. More people would want to join that specifically, and you can try to find people with a decent amount of light that can carry you if you're very low power rank, or very low light, I should say. And the idea is to farm 51 shadowy vaults. Now it's like a little hidden karma bar. You can believe me, you can just not believe me, but it's there. I've got all of my Crystal 4 pieces like that. I know a bunch of other people got it that way as well. I know there's a lot of people that say they farmed, I don't know, 150 different delves or something and still didn't get one. So the idea is you have to farm 115 or higher. But the thing is, if you do 115 or higher, there's a chance that you can get into a U9 delve. And if you open a shadowy vault in that delve, you're not going to get anything towards your Crystal 4 gear. It's not going to reset anything, but it's just like a little hidden karma bar. U9 just won't really give you a Crystal 4. There's also a really weird bug in the game, and it's never really gotten fixed. But for whatever reason, if the delve is U10, sometimes the enemies will be like they are in U9, so they're going to be a little bit weaker, and it's just going to be a U9 delve, but it's going to say that it's a U10. So you have to be on the lookout for that as well. You can't really do much about it, because you can't really tell sometimes. Safest option I found was farming 128 and higher, but obviously it's going to be harder to do that. So just farm 115 plus, more efficient that way. Be on the lookout for U10 depths, and if you're unable to get to U11, which I will talk about in a second here, that's going to be your best way to farm Crystal 4 gear as of right now. So now I am in U11 Centered Uplands biome, and if you go searching in this biome, you can find some 5-star dungeons. There's actually none right here right now, but you can find a ship or a tower. You preferably want to do the tower because that's a little bit easier. The ship is there for XP, so you can just go to U10 to do that. I have videos talking about the U10 ships. But for Crystal 4, U11 towers are good. And the thing about doing 5-star dungeons in U11 is that you can get a chance of getting Crystal 4 gear. Now, I've never dropped one in a tower or a ship before, but what I do know is that you can craft a key over here, and the resources are kind of expensive if you don't have enough, so crafting a key is going to be a little bit tricky. But if you have an efficient group to farm U11 with, you can craft some keys, you can go do some U11 towers, or ships for that matter, but you can just do towers, and you can see if you get a Crystal 4 gear that way. Although it is a little bit tricky because the bosses are a little bit tricky to deal with. If you don't have enough light, you're not going to do enough damage, obviously, and if you don't have a group, it's going to be a little bit difficult. You can definitely solo it, but it's going to take a while, and then you have to go up a certain amount of waves. Kind of a mess, but it is doable. I've personally never gotten a Crystal 4 gear that way, but you guys can let me know in the comments below if you've tried it and you've gotten a bunch of Crystal 4s that way. I know it's supposed to be increased chances, but I'm completely maxed out. I don't need Crystal 4 gear anymore, so I never really had a reason to try that. But the other thing I wanted to mention is that if you go to U11 Geode Topside, so this is where I farmed my Crystal 4 spear. It was in my rev video actually, farming for 30 minutes. I'm pretty sure I got mine from a 5-star dungeon. So if you farm 5-star dungeons in U11, you have a chance of getting Crystal 4 gear. I'm pretty sure you don't get Crystal 4 gear from actual dungeons. I never got one at least. I got one from the 5-star dungeons. But just break the boxes that are in there. So if I did that one, for example, you complete a boss, break the chest, there's a chance of that one being Crystal 4. But obviously for all of this to even happen, you have to be able to get into U11. So if you can't get into U11, you can't really do this. But if you're not able to, then you have the option for delves and permatorches. You can farm multiple things, mementos, try to mix in a lot of things so other people can join you for the delves. And if you can get into U11, just do the 5-star dungeons and try to get yourself some Crystal 4 gear that way. It's definitely a little bit more easier to farm out here because you can just go from dungeon to dungeon type thing. Although you do have to find 5-star dungeons for this to even work, and some 5-star dungeons take longer than others to complete, mainly because you have to find the boss. That's a little bit annoying to deal with, but it is what it is. And unfortunately, as of right now, there isn't really a way to craft yourself a Crystal 1 weapon, for example, and then level that up to Crystal 4. You have to actually go out and find the rarity that you want. Now, Magic Find kind of plays a role into this, kind of, but kind of not. Having the Magic Find will get you the chance of finding Crystal gear, but the rarity is just going to be dependent on your RNG. So if you're feeling lucky, you can try it. If you're not feeling lucky, then you can still try it, but who knows if you'll get it or not. So of the 3 different things we talked about here, the delves, the ships and towers, and then the 5-star dungeons in general, hopefully that gives you an understanding of the best place to farm Crystal 4 gear. I personally never tried to farm Crystal 4 gear in the towers or the ships, but apparently it's supposed to have increased chances, but I'm not sure. Let me know in the comments down below what you think. But if you were to leave it up to me, I can go into U11, so I would just farm 5-star dungeons because I have a farming character, and I can also make Flux that way because I can just loot collect the shadow stuff or the stellars that I get, and then any crystal gear that I loot collect, that's gonna be forged fragments that I can use towards my Crystal 4 gear when upgrading. And then if I were to, I don't know, farm delves for whatever reason, if I needed perma torches, I could try to get Crystal 4 gear that way as well. So kind of just depends on what you need, really. But anyway, hopefully you guys have enjoyed the video. Drop a like, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I will talk to you all later.